From the Free Presbyterian Church of Ulster, we present Let the Bible Speak. Once again, it's time to let the Bible speak.
A lot of memories in here, chaps. A lot of memories. Alan, for you, this was your church. You preached here every week for years and years, hundreds of times. And then, after a very short time, when Let the Bible Speak began, suddenly you find yourself again here every week, preaching and sending out the gospel, but further afield. That must say something very big and special to you.
Yeah. Cabra, not only to me, but the whole Free Church was a very special place. You look at this very, very tiny place. I even had I'd memorised the very dimensions of it, 20 foot 6 inches in breadth, wee country church. But this was very special in the Free Church, and in many ways unique, because of the way it started, the gospel mission with which it started, and it always had a record. That, I mean by a record, not something we did, but just a memory of what the Lord had done. Every so often there'd be something special happening here in Cabra. As you remember, we started recording in the new church in Ballymoney. And it was good, but it wasn't really what we needed. So the church gave us free use of this, and they even provided most of the labour, and we got this place started.
This was the original control room, as we called it. There was an audio mixer here, and the tape recorders were to my left. And so all the recording was done here. And in through that little window is where Alan Cairns sat and did his preaching every week. Well, that lasted for about a year, I suppose, or a little more than a year. And then we discovered that it wasn't suitable, it wasn't big enough. And so we moved from here down to the other end of the building and built a new control room.
I don't know if it was you or somebody, the guy from RTE, I'm not sure who it was. Maybe it was him through you. But somebody told me when you're behind the microphone, just forget about speaking to the thousands and the tens of thousands, as some preachers thought of when they came here and they were scared out of their wits. Just think of this one person on the other side of the microphone, and you're going into their home or into their car, so talk to them. And that's how I looked at it, and tried to carry that on as a person-to-person thing. It's a bit different than just a conversation because it is a preaching program. But that was the idea, and so far from intimidating, it was exhilarating because we were, in a very short time, covering a vast array of people across great tracts of the world. I think of the whole subcontinent of India. And we had, I don't know how many people would have been listening in there, but from Radio Sri Lanka, we had a tremendous outreach. So, and then you had Africa, and you had Australia at a time, and then key parts of Canada, and then into some of the decent markets of the United States.
It's good you're tuning in, and I hope that you'll stay with us for the next quarter hour as we let the Bible speak.
Leslie, you must have been overawed coming into this great professional organisation and hearing this marvellous preaching and seeing all this wonderful engineering and all that. I mean, it was a great thing for you to take it on and to cope with it and to master it in such a short time, because you also took to it like a duck to water.
I don't know if I'd agree with that statement, that I took to it like a duck to water.
You think not?
No, definitely not. I can remember coming and having a talk with you, Dr. Cairns. I think he purposely wasn't there on that occasion, and you were telling me a few things.
This is a good cop, bad cop thing, was it? Now it's a bad cop?
You were telling me a few things that I should keep in mind, just as Dr. Cairns has said. Don't envisage that you're preaching to hundreds or thousands. You have to think of someone on the other side of the microphone that you're talking to. And you'd also told me that there were a few programs that had been done ahead, so I didn't have to do anything that particular day. And I was thinking in my mind all the while, no, I definitely am not doing anything today, next week. So I came next week, and you had some other instructions for me, And I still didn't feel like going in there to that little preaching studio. I said, no, I'll not do it this week. And you were saying, well, now the deadline's coming up. You're going to have to get in. So I thought, right, okay. I said, James,
you're going to have to bite the bullet.
I was going to have to bite the bullet. Next week I'll do it. And I came the next week and went into the preaching studio. And I was overawed. You had told me, look, when the cue light comes on, your mic's live. You'll hear something in your headphones, and when the music tails off, now you be ready to come in, and don't be holding back, just come in. So I was trying to keep all this in my mind, and then when it came to the preaching of the message, I think I preached a few minutes short, but you were very gracious on that occasion.
I like that occasion.
Well, I said on that occasion, yes.
People think it's easy, but it's not actually all that easy until you get used to it, because there's a lot of things happening in your head that you have to think about. You're watching the clock, you're watching for cues from me or the engineer, whoever it is, and so on. A lot of things are happening, and furthermore, we didn't use notes or auto cues. This is all. This is preached extemporaneously. I couldn't do it, but you two guys could do it. It was like falling off a log.
Well, I know you've said on other occasions that it's easier to do a live broadcast. Now, I know this wasn't going out live, but when I was in that preaching studio, I felt as if it was going out live. And at the start, I did find it really difficult because, as you say, we're watching the eyes on the clock, and you've got to have it right, cut it at that point, and you're trying just to judge everything so that you'll get to that exact time. And at the start, I did find that really, really difficult. But then after a while, I got more used to it, but still I go in front of a microphone still with some degree of trepidation.
Now, as both of you know, I've been going through the archives for the past year, and whilst this wasn't the case at the time because I was doing other things in the control room, I've been impressed at the quality of the preaching. I mean, it's just amazing quality of preaching and the subjects that you chose. How did you go about choosing you had themes on various things, maybe a theme on Abraham, a theme on whatever. How did you go about choosing your stuff every week?
Well, it's not much different than your church ministry, because at the end of the day, you're talking to people, and you look to the Lord to give you some guidance as to what is necessary. But wherever people are, whether they're black or white or rich or poor, at the end of the day, their needs are very much the same, and spiritually. So the messages that fit here ultimately are going to fit there too.
Well, that would bring us to the title you chose, which is the best title in the world, Let the Bible Speak. How did you arrive at that?
You know, that is a question that I really can't answer, other than say that, excuse me, it's one of those things I had to give a lot of thought to, and nothing came, because all the good titles had been taken. This was 1973.
Hour of Decision and all that sort of stuff.
And so I thought and prayed about it and just wondered. And suddenly, just out of the blue, it came, Let the Bible Speak. And as soon as that came to my mind, I ran it past you and Frank, and everybody said, that's it. Because as soon as it came to my mind, I thought, that is exactly what this is about.
Well, both of you must be, humanly speaking, must be thrilled at the outcome of Let the Bible Speak, coming up to the 40th anniversary, and what has happened and what has been achieved.
Yeah, I would say that I'm greatly humbled before the Lord just to think from very small beginnings, and Dr. Cairns, I'm sure, could tell us more about the beginnings, the small beginnings, but from those small beginnings to see how the Lord has blessed it, and He has given the increase, and it is now, under God, truly an international ministry.
In Nepal, there are probably 12 more churches that have been established through the ministry of Let the Bible Speak. People converted to Christ. It has really grown. Tremendous growth through the ministry of Let the Bible Speak, and are now formed into local churches. And they're part of an overall organisation of something near 100 churches, which are now seeking to form the Nepal Free Presbyterian Church. You and I saw some of the growth from that tiny little beginning on the Isle of Man, which was really, it was almost a joke. I mean, people running around over here trying to pick up the signal. It was nearly like the days of back with the old crystal.
Yes, it was.
Trying to get a signal.
It was.
But then Frank found us an outlet in Toronto. It was a great station. That really took off. And then we moved on to CFRB. Then we went into Greenville. And then we had Calgary. Another thing that happened out there, by the way, was just the number of times that Let the Bible Speak was either directly involved in the formation of a new church, or was the forerunner of it, or came along as a real help to the church. Unlike every other radio ministry that I know of, we determined we would, first of all, never ask for funds over the air. We never solicited funds. Second, we would never run in debt. We would have to pay every bill on time. And we did that by God's grace.
We really depend upon the financial support that we get from our folks in the Free Church. And really, without that support over all of the years of Let the Bible Speak's existence, we just couldn't have gone on. And I would like to place on record our very sincere thanks and appreciation for all of the help and the support, prayerful and financial, that we have received down through the years. I can think of youth fellowships that sent in gifts. Some individuals sent in very large gifts and still do. Sometimes church committees have given a special offering to Let the Bible Speak. Other congregations have contributed in other ways, and we've seen the Lord touch the hearts of the people, and the support has come in, but without it we just couldn't continue on air.
It's the end of an era. It's goodbye to Cabra, but we have a bright new future in Lurgan.
Well, Leslie, here we are at our bright new future in Lurgan. Bit of a difference from the old Cabra side, a lot more room. Yeah. It served its purpose for many years, and now, in the providence and goodness of the Lord, we have this opportunity for the future for Let the Bible Speak to get into television and carry the ministry of the Free Church to many, many people who otherwise would never hear what our people can hear week by week. Exciting and challenging.
It is exciting and challenging, and we're certainly thankful to the Lurgan Church for giving this site to us, and I can really see how that the ministry will expand, extend. We'll get into the internet ministry more, and certainly get onto television, and hopefully have a larger potential audience to preach the gospel to.